Today we're going to be addressing what I feel like is the question I answer the most with voice students. Why do I have to do vocal warm-ups? And sometimes, to be honest, it's not even why do I have to, it's just do I have to? So if you are a voice student and you are watching this video and hoping that somehow the answer is going to be, no, you don't really have to do that. Sorry, that's not the case. I do not believe in busy work, so if we are dedicating not only a portion of our very valuable lesson time every week to our warm-ups, but also I'm telling you to do them regularly at home when you practice, it's for a reason. It is important. And so today we are going to go over just a couple of quick clarifying things when it comes to warm-ups, and then also dive into some of the reasons why, in my opinion, they are so important to your vocal study. So first thing I want to clarify is, what is a vocal warm-up? When I'm talking about a vocal warm-up, I'm just mean an exercise that is using some kind of vocalization like a hum or a different kind of syllable to cover some kind of pattern, usually with notes that starts on a certain point in your range, completes the pattern, and then moves to a different note and completes the pattern there, so on and so forth. And if you study voice lessons with me, you know that this is how we start pretty much all of our voice lessons, with some kind of new warm-up that we record for you to then use when you practice at home. And that brings us to the next thing I want to clarify, which is the reason why I think I have to go over this so frequently with students. There's sort of a disconnect that revolves around the necessity of vocal warm-ups. For just about all of us, we can sing something without doing any kind of vocal warm-ups, and it's probably going to come out just fine. We can sing it, it works, it's great, okay? And so that immediately brings us to, well, if I don't need it, then why do I have to do it? And I think this is really the crux of the issue for a lot of students. The truth is, you don't need vocal warm-ups to sing. We've all been singing our entire lives. We can all do it. On the flip side, if you want to really actively work on improving your singing, you're going to need to commit to this part of your vocal routine. I also feel like a general rule of thumb is, if it's important to Idina Menzel, probably should be important to the rest of us when it comes to our singing. Idina Menzel always does vocal warm-ups, therefore I feel like we probably need to do them too. And again, the point here is not that you can't sing without doing vocal warm-ups, it's how much do you want to be investing in the improvement of your instrument and your musicianship. So that brings us to the main thing I want to talk about today, which is, why do we need vocal warm-ups? What benefit do they provide? What's the point, and what are they helping me accomplish? When I start teaching every voice student, one of the first things that we discuss is a list of reasons why these vocal warm-ups are so important, because again, a lot of people feel like, well, I can sing, so why does this need to be part of my routine? Now, that list that I hand to students actually has 12 different reasons why we include vocal warm-ups in our practice routine. I'm not getting into all 12 today. I don't want to make a 45-minute video talking about all 12 reasons, and you probably don't want to watch it. But I do want to go over 4 of those reasons with you, so that way, if you are having sort of a moment of, why do I need this again? You have something to reference, because one of these 4 reasons is probably going to resonate with you. So here we go. The first reason why it is important to include warm-ups in your singing routine is it actually can make your singing feel easier. This largely comes down to the idea of reducing unnecessary tension. Now, there's sort of a misconception when it comes to singing sometimes that if you have muscle tension, bad muscle tension, no good at all. This is not exactly the case, because first of all, if you do not have any sort of muscle tension, you're just a blob and you can't do anything. So in order to sing, you need muscle tension, but we want to eliminate unnecessary muscle tension. Singing is unique because your voice is part of your body. And so if you have, for example, muscle tension in your shoulders, as some of us tend to do, then that may show up in your singing. Not only in how easy it is to actually sing, but in maybe sort of a pinched or tightened or limited quality in the sound of your notes. Doing regular vocal warm-ups can actually help you pinpoint where some of that extra muscle tension might be. Maybe you need to kind of walk around the room a little bit. That can help with freeing up some of your sound. Sometimes just Giving your shoulders a couple rolls can help. Sometimes raising your arms or moving your head side to side. All of these things are sort of different tools that we can use if we notice extra tension in the sound, among other things. Vocal warm-ups help show us where those areas might be, and sometimes even just the process of singing through different warm-up exercises can help relieve extra tension that you maybe didn't even know you had. Commonly that happens in the neck. The neck muscles are so close to all of the muscles that are actually helping you use your voice. We don't often realize if we are kind of having any extra feeling there. If you've ever tried to sing when you're really cold, you've probably noticed it's more difficult than when you are at a comfortable temperature. And the reason for that is because your body naturally takes over when it's cold to cause muscle tremors and muscle tension that will generate heat and warm your body back up. However, it's not necessarily super comfortable. And so when it comes to unnecessary tension, that's basically what we're trying to do. We're trying to get rid of anything that we don't need so that your singing can feel as effortless and as comfortable and as easy as possible. The second benefit I want to talk about today regarding regular vocal warm-ups in your practice routine is the ability to smooth out the shift between registers. Many of us can either hear or feel a noticeable change when we're switching from the lower register to the higher register or vice versa. Sometimes the higher register maybe sounds a little bit too breathy or a little bit too weak or thin, and sometimes you may notice a lack of agility or power or stamina from the lower register. One of the most challenging things for many students who are studying singing is to smooth out that transition between the two registers so that the voice sounds very smooth from top to bottom. Now, that doesn't always mean that that's the ideal sound that you want. Sometimes you do want to highlight those differences. For example, if you're using a yodeling technique, you are not wanting everything to sound really nice and smooth and consistent in every part of your range. However, it is an important skill to learn. You want to have as many tools in your vocal toolbox as possible, so that way you can choose what you want to do for any particular song rather than being confined to the only thing that you can do. Vocal warm-ups are an excellent tool for helping to strengthen any weak areas in your voice and help you smooth out that range from top to bottom. The third benefit I want to talk about today when it comes to regular vocal warm-ups as part of your practice routine, hopefully you are catching the theme here that this should be a regular part of your routine and not just a sporadic part. But the third benefit is it helps with your ear training and consequently your sight singing. So like I mentioned before, when we are doing vocal warm-ups, we're pretty much always following some sort of pattern. A lot of the time that pattern looks like some type of scale or arpeggio, sometimes even a combination or more unusual scales or arpeggio patterns. And so when you're practicing these patterns regularly, your ear is able to more easily identify what those patterns are. You're also improving a process called audiation, which is the ability to hear your note in your head before you actually go to sing it and then sing it exactly in tune on the right note that you meant to sing. And so you're improving your ability to not only recognize patterns with your ear, but to also anticipate patterns, sing your notes correctly, which then feeds into the ability to sight sing or to identify intervals, which we usually call ear training. All of these things are super important if you want to really become the best singer you're capable of being and to strengthen this skill set. The fourth benefit that I want to go over today is the benefit that comes from just experimenting with what your voice can do. A lot of the time, if your only practice comes from singing along with the radio or working on stuff that you know a cappella in the shower, you're not really accessing the potential that your voice has to offer. We use so many different combinations of techniques when it comes to our warm-ups. Sometimes we are experimenting with different vowel shapes. Many of you have tried the tall vowel type of warm-ups, and sometimes we're experimenting with different tone. So for example, if we want to sing really nasal, I'll stop talking like that because that's fairly annoying, but that can be a great skill set and a great way to experiment with what your voice can do. You may never know what your voice is capable of until you experiment with different sounds and styles of singing, and that is where vocal warm-ups are so helpful. It's almost like if singing were a video game, vocal warm-ups are ways to unlock bonus levels. You may not have even known that they were there, but by using these vocal warm-ups, you can discover and use new skills in your singing. Sometimes warm-ups help us discover an easier way of doing something. Sometimes we end up finding a new quality of tone that we didn't expect, but actually kind of like. And sometimes you may discover that you totally hate how something sounds and that you never want to use that in your voice again. But at least now you know because you did your vocal warm-ups. So if nothing else that I've said in this video has really stuck with you, I want you to really zone in on this. You may be a perfectly adequate singer without ever doing vocal warm-ups. And you could be absolutely limiting yourself without ever even knowing it. If you want to actively work on improving your instrument and becoming the best singer that you can be, vocal warm-ups are a critical part of that equation. So, if you have had trouble in the past committing to making these a normal part of your practice routine, please, please, please consider trying again. Because once you start to experience the difference it makes in your singing, you will have a hard time going back. Remember, we've only gone over 4 of those 12 reasons that I give to all my voice students. There are so many more benefits on top of what we've already discussed. Please give it a try if you aren't already doing so that you can be setting yourself up for the most chances of success when it comes to improving your singing. That's it for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.